Former President Ranil was arrested by the officers of the Criminal Investigation Department yesterday afternoon when he arrived at the CID to give a statement. The summons was issued in connection with an ongoing investigation under the Public Property Act regarding an alleged private overseas trip undertaken using state funds. After being taken into custody by the CID, former President Ranil was presented before the court. At the time, several former ministers and party supporters had gathered in the court premises. Additional Solicitor General Dilip Apiris, presenting the suspect, former President Ranil before the court, stated that he had undertaken a private trip on the 22nd and 23rd of September 2023 using 16.6 million rupees of government funds. Excerpt.
After obtaining statements from approximately 33 witnesses, the 8th executive president of this country is being presented to court based on substantial evidence. From the 13th September to the 20th September 2023, he was on an official visit to Cuba and the United States. 10 individuals, including officials from the Presidential Secretariat and the police, participated in this visit. However, he then travelled to the United Kingdom to attend the honorary degree convocation of his wife at Wolverhampton University. The convocation was held on the 22nd and 23rd, and 16.6 million rupees of public funds were spent on this visit.
End of excerpt. The Additional Solicitor General stated that documents initially describing the visit as a private one were later altered to present it as an official visit, suggesting that someone had changed the records. Excerpt.
This investigation first received documents on the 16th August 2023. Those documents clearly stated that the visit was a private one. Later, between the 12th November and 11th December 2023, several other documents were received, which described the visit simply as a visit. It was only after the trip had concluded that the documents were changed to present it as an official visit. This clearly indicates that the documents were fabricated. Someone had altered them.
End of excerpt. The Additional Solicitor General also clarified how the funds were spent for the visit. Excerpt.
While several fundamental rights petitions were being heard before the Supreme Court, claiming the country was bankrupt, the suspect, who was the president at the time, undertook this visit, spending 16.6 million rupees of public funds. Of this amount, 4.5 million rupees was spent on vehicle rentals, 300,000 rupees on food and beverages, 3.4 million rupees on accommodation, £600 for guest expenses, and 4.6 million rupees on vehicles. However, Your Honour, 13.2 million rupees was provided by the Presidential Secretariat and 3.2 million rupees by the Sri Lanka Police and Navy. This is how the total 16.6 million rupees was allocated. After completing the official visit to Cuba and the United States, he stayed at a hotel in London. Notably, accommodation was available near the university where the convocation was held. Despite this, he stayed at the landmark hotel in London. The president is a custodian of public funds, not their owner. He does not have the right to misuse public money in this manner.
End of excerpt. Additional Solicitor General Dileep Perez revealed to the court that Sandra Pereira, the personal secretary of Ranil Wickramasinghe, had stated that the visit in question was not an official one. Excerpt.
A statement was recorded from Mrs. Sandra Pereira, who served as the personal secretary to the suspect. She stated that Ranil Wickramasinghe had not described the visit as an official one, but rather as a private visit. She further stated that she later came to know that it was indeed a private visit. Your Honour, this statement comes from the suspect's own personal secretary, who also participated in the visit.
End of excerpt. The Additional Solicitor General also stated that the approval for the funds used for this visit was granted by the then Presidential Secretary Saman Ekanaika and that steps are being taken to impose a travel ban on him. Excerpt.
Your Honour, the approval of funds for this overseas trip was granted by the former Presidential Secretary Saman Ekanaika. He is the main suspect in this case and is currently present in court. I respectfully request that a travel ban be imposed against him.
End of excerpt. Opposing bail, Additional Solicitor General Dileep Perez argued that the charges against the suspect fall under the Public Property Act and therefore special grounds are required to grant bail. Excerpt.
At this stage, there are no special grounds to grant bail to the suspect. Under the Public Property Act, bail can only be granted on exceptional grounds. I respectfully request Your Honour to treat this case as a routine criminal matter, one involving serious criminal allegations. The law must apply equally to everyone. It is unjust to spend public funds in this manner. This is a clear misuse of public money. How can funds be allocated for a private visit by falsely presenting it as an official one? The suspect himself has stated that it was a private visit. Your Honour, the investigation is not yet complete and there are more suspects to be taken into custody. Justice must be blind to status and consider only the facts presented.
End of excerpt. President's counsel Anuja Premaratna appeared on behalf of the suspect, former President Ranil Wickramasinghe, and submitted a request for bail. Excerpt.
Your Honour, this investigation was initiated based on a complaint made by the current President's Secretary. The reason this case could be filed today is because the suspect is no longer serving as President and the immunity granted to Presidents has been removed. However, cases like this should not be filed in this manner. This case has been filed with clear bias and without properly investigating the nature of the invitation. The invitation came through the British High Commission via the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and was forwarded to the Presidential Secretariat. This clearly indicates that the visit to the UK was an official one. The suspect is a 76-year-old individual who cannot endure long flights. That is why the UK was used as a transit point. He has been suffering from heart disease for 7 years, along with diabetes, high blood pressure and several other illnesses. This is the first time this information is being revealed. No one knew this before. His wife is a cancer patient. They have no children. It's just the two of them and he takes care of all her needs. He is scheduled to attend the Commonwealth Youth Summit in India as the chief guest the day after tomorrow. Prison is not a secure place for a former president. Therefore, I respectfully request that my client be released on bail under suitable conditions.
End of excerpt. After considering the facts presented, the magistrate suspended court proceedings for half an hour. By that time, a large crowd of supporters had already gathered near the court premises and several former ministers were also present. Court proceedings resumed a few hours later. After hearing submissions from both sides, the magistrate stated that no exceptional reasons had been presented by the defense to justify granting bail to the suspect and announced that the bail request was rejected. Excerpt.
The attorney representing the suspect made submissions requesting bail and referred to an audit report from the National Audit Office. However, no explanation was given to show that the funds used for this trip were not public funds. The complaint clearly stated that the 1.66 million rupees used for the trip was government money. Accordingly, under Section 5(1) of the Offences Against Public Property Act No. 12 of 1982, an offence has been established. Based on the submissions made, it cannot be assumed that the conditions applicable to official visits apply in this instance. Everyone is equal before the law. Therefore, Even the country's 8th executive president is not entitled to any special privilege in this regard. Furthermore, the official letter claimed to have been received for the trip had not been submitted during the initial stages of the investigation, as highlighted in the complaint. This investigation has been ongoing for 3 months. The relevant letter was only submitted 3 months after the investigation began. Therefore, the complainant is ordered to investigate the said letter and present their findings to court. Since no exceptional circumstances have been presented to justify granting bail, the suspect is remanded until the 26th of August. The complainant is also ordered to report the progress of the investigation to court on that date.
End of excerpt. Subsequently, former President Ranil Wickremesinghe was remanded until the 26th of August.